It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. I feel good. And I can't sing as good as Freddie Mercury. Welcome, everybody, to a reaction to these so-called superfans talking about The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So, ever since Christopher Tolkien sadly passed away, God rest his soul, in his old age, Amazon decided to take it upon themselves to claim the rights to Tolkien all within the span of 3 months, if I remember correctly, to make their own adaptation of a story set in the world of Middle-earth. Now, I don't know if I've made it quite clear in this channel, but I am a big fan of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. And I've been hearing some rather dodgy things about this particular adaptation. This series is apparently set in the Second Age of Middle-earth, so it's set after the events of the Silmarillion, which is essentially the Genesis account for Middle-earth in the First Age, and it's set before the vast majority of the stories set in the Third Age. Of course, there's all these other stories like Children of Hurin, the Fall of Gondolin, and all these other fantastic stories that you could listen to audiobooks on these. I find it interesting that Amazon Prime Video have chosen to adapt the Second Age, which neither J.R.R. Tolkien nor Christopher Tolkien have ever established in their own writings. In fact, I've been hearing some other dodgy news that the people making the series barely even got the right to adapt much of the source material, so they literally made up a story of their own. But unfortunately, because these are people who seemingly don't fully understand the depth of Tolkien's lore, they have been heavily, and I mean heavily, criticized for inserting superficial diversity as well as just this complete misrepresentation of the Tolkien lore into this adaptation. On the one hand, fans can rejoice that at least they don't altogether touch the source material, but on the other hand, fans have been heavily criticizing them for being inaccurate. But I found this video and I thought, you know what? Let's hear these people out. I'm willing to let people talk, you know. And just a heads up, I have a friend who is a woman of African lineage, and even she has major problems with the superficial diversity problem that the Prime Video series is setting up. I think even Ian McKellen was raising some concerns about the group making this series, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. But anyway, here we have at least 12 and a half minutes of the so-called superfans just talking about the Rings of Power. And you know what? I'm going to react to it and probably give back some commentary as necessary. Just I'll just let them speak. I'll just let them hear out. So assuming this will buffer properly, I'm just gonna let this play in 3, 2, 1.
Every time I was like, okay, take a breath, something new would happen, and it was.
It's Middle-earth, there's never peace, right? If, like, Sauron is hot, I feel like people will be like, I can fix him.
Ooh. Right off the bat. You want to make out with the source of pure evil in Middle-earth? I mean, if you actually look into the Tolkien lore, the way Sauron looked before he got defeated, I suppose, does make sense. Like, Sauron was meant to be like this beautiful elf, but Sauron was meant to be like the stand-in for like the satanic figure, in that, yeah, he had all this glory and this sort of beautification, but he got so caught up in his ego that he eventually wanted to take over and be self-centered, and he eventually corrupted the masses and became Sauron. And now Sauron is the representation of all evil. My boy, you think you can fix someone who's dedicated to evil? Good luck with that. Just good luck with that. Though, I suppose he is right in one regard. Sauron in the books is meant to look beautiful, so I'll give him that. Anyway, carry on.
Middle-earth had like a club.
Yo, this tune is banging!
Awestruck.
Looks like Skrillex is back on our menu, boys! Ah! No, wait, no, not menu. Looks like Skrillex is back in our playlist, boys! Ah! Orc rave. Anyway.
Mystified and starstruck.
Wow. My name's Mr. Isla, and I'm so excited because Prime Video's new epic fantasy series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, just dropped with a teaser trailer, and I'm here with the Fellowship of Influencers, Chanel, Joel, and Kelsey. How you guys doing?
Very
Influencers.
excited after watching that.
Come on.
Very intrigued to just see.
Group of influencers. I think I can imagine some people getting quite triggered already.
Everyone else's thoughts and just gather what we all think.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. All right, 3 words to describe The Rings of Power. Teaser trailer. Go.
Okay. Breathtaking. I literally didn't breathe. Exhilarating and intriguing.
I did notice that you weren't breathing.
Yeah,
I
no.
was gonna call first aid.
It was like I was trying, but every time I was like, okay, take a breath, something new would happen, and it was
Literally, like, and I was like, are you gonna fall off your chair?
No.
Oh, I would say like expansive, because
Yeah.
we're getting this like whole new look into the second age on screen, and it's gonna be so amazing. I also want to say representative, because we're getting like more diversity within this series. Like we're seeing this like
Again, Prime Video has been heavily criticized for their superficial diversity. Now, there's going to be some of you who's going to type in, you white privileged bastard! How could you say such a thing? Hear me out. The Lord of the Rings series already had diversity in it. You have all these different races. You had the hobbits, as well as the men, the elves, the dwarves. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, with like the Ents, the orcs, the men of the south, the Tom Bombadil. What race is Tom Bombadil? The Maiar. Like, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, I've probably named all the races already, but the rest of the living creatures are like just creatures, I suppose. Well, not just creatures. No one's just a person, I suppose. I'm rambling on. Basically, the whole point is like you have all these different types of people. You know, dwarves, elves, men, and hobbits, and they've established in the lore that all of them have these grudges against each other for different reasons, especially between elves and dwarves. But the whole point behind Tolkien's stories is that they set aside their differences to work together for a greater goal, and that's an inspiring diversity message in and of itself. You see, diversity was already in the Lord of the Rings series. It was already there. But the way they've implemented diversity just seems very superficial. I mean, Peter Jackson did introduce people of darker skin in the Hobbit trilogy, so we could assume that they moved up from down south. That makes sense, because the reason people even have these different skin pigments to begin with is because the closer a certain culture is towards the equator, towards the sun, the browner their skin is going to be, because of the way melanin is so finely tuned into their skin. So, that's the way that works. So, in that regard, I find it very questionable that there's meant to be this brown-skinned dwarf living in Moria. brown-skinned lady who was raised in Moria. Moria! Okay, do you have any idea where Moria is? It is underneath the mountain. Underneath the halls of a mountain. It's quite cold, quite big, it's underground, there will hardly be much sunlight there. Like, this dwarf princess should be looking like Michael Jackson. I mean, I am open to the idea that this dwarf princess, maybe she did have these sort of brown-skinned parents, and maybe they moved into Moria. I mean, that would make sense. But I find it very questionable that she could have skin looking that good after living so many years underground with not that much sunlight. I mean, unless she... But, like, even if she did go outside, I mean, the place surrounding Moria, I don't think it's the sunniest of locations. But yeah, the Lord of the Rings stories are inspiring in the fact that these different races, despite their differences, they do come together for the greater good. So there already is diversity, and already I've had a big rant. So, let's carry on.
Elf, we're seeing the first female dwarf, and I'm very...
Wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. What did this guy just say? Wait. Did he just say what I thought he just said?
representative because we're getting like more diversity within this series. Like we're seeing our first black elf, we're seeing the first female dwarf.
The first female dwarf. Guys, have you not seen The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey? There were female dwarves littered about the place. Oh my days, they don't get it. Days. Like, have you been paying attention to Unexpected Journey? There's even like concept artwork of like female dwarves, like with like the beards and everything. You know, we saw them running away from Smaug the dragon. There were definitely female dwarves there. It was quite cool to see. Have you not been watching Peter Jackson, mate? Also, the first female dwarf, like, also, it should be noted that Gimli mentioned female dwarves in The Two Towers, in quite a famous scene where he says, "It's true you don't see most dwarf women. In fact, they're often mistaken for men. It's the beards. In fact, there's a rumor going around that there are no dwarf women," which maybe Amazon's spreading. "And the dwarves just sprout right out of the ground!" It's a funny scene. Funnily enough, I remember seeing the show called Once Upon a Time, which played into that dwarvish rumor that dwarves just pop out of the ground. So, there you go, Gimli. There you go. Now, the first black elf. Cool. I mean, there might be elves, like, down south. I mean, most of Middle-earth only focuses on this one area, but it should be noted that much of the Middle-earth stories was essentially J.R.R. Tolkien's attempt to make this sort of Anglo-English mythology, this mythology made entirely for England. So, the series as a whole has very strong European vibes throughout it, combining Anglo-Saxon myths with Tolkien's very devout Catholic faith, as well as European history, especially with the World War. Yeah, it should be noted that Tolkien actually did go through war. He's seen real, genuine turmoil, which is why his stories are so engaging and relatable, because he's actually been through war and turmoil, which I doubt even half of these people have been through, but you know what? That remains to be seen. first female dwarf. You know, for people who are proud of their first female dwarf, you're not giving her the privilege of having a beard to represent her race. So much for being representative. Anyway, carry on.
And I'm very looking forward to like looking at that. And then I guess like intriguing because obviously this period of history within the Middle Earth is very rife with notions of the plot of like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And
Even though they were making it up as they went along, there's been no established Tolkien writing to indicate what happened in the Second Age. They're literally making this up. I'm just saying. Carry on.
seeing how the Rings of Power are being forged.
Definitely more than 3 words.
The Rings of Power. The Rings of Power were essential to the lore. I was going to say something, but I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. I think someone said that this was more like fan fiction than actual lore, but okay, that was it. Anyway.
I love it.
Thank you. I'm an over-explainer.
I love it.
I would say awestruck, mystified, and starstruck.
Wow.
Very strong words.
That is like the word for the next teaser trailer.
Or just like
Popping
pop
up.
here.
With your name and
Awesome.
Twilight.
Starstruck. Interstellar.
So in the teaser trailer, and obviously with a lot of stuff that you've probably read about it, we're introduced to the first black elf. We're introduced to the first female dwarf. Now, diversity, especially on screen as an actor, means a lot to me because
She's not the first female dwarf representation. Have you not been watching The Hobbit on Unexpected Journey? Anyway.
as growing up, I hardly had that, watching TV and watching a lot of films and stuff. Never saw people of my color. So it's exciting to see that, diversity is being explored in the Rings of Power.
Something worth noting about representing minorities in media. I understand that it can be really sensitive, especially when Hollywood, in the past at least, may have been misrepresentative of certain minorities in the past. On that basis, I can understand why people love being, represented, because this will represent our people well, and people will look to us in a favorable light. I can understand that. But I should say it right now, you don't need a character who's exactly like you in order to relate to them. Like, I don't have to be a woman to relate to the struggles of Ellen Ripley from the Alien series, She's struggling to be a mother, and she's struggling to survive. These are very relatable things, and I don't need to be a woman to relate to her sense of dedication and care. I don't need to be a weird lizard-like alien to relate to the Arbiter in Halo and how he was trying to find out the truth in, like, Halo 2. And, I don't have to be from England to relate to the struggles of the Pevensey children from the Narnia series. Just wanted to mention the Narnia series. C.S. Lewis is a good friend of J.R. Tolkien. I've heard people saying they're brown skin that they can relate to Aragorn, even though he's got a different color skin. You don't have to be exactly like a character in order to relate to them. Just getting that out there. Anyway.
What are your thoughts on the casting decisions then?
I'm very excited for it because Tolkien's work was always about being inclusive. I mean, we see it.
I mean, from a certain point of view, that could be taken as correct. Tolkien was, in a sense, inclusive in the fact that he had a wide diversity of characters, but I'm remembering this passage from C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, this particular line where Screwtape says, like, indoctrination has to come from how did he say it again? By subtracting one point of the teaching and exaggerating another part of the teaching. notice how they are exaggerating inclusivity. Like, again, at face value, there's nothing wrong with inclusivity, but this team, this Amazon Prime Video team, has been heavily criticized for this indulgent, superficial diversity. So it's no wonder they keep mentioning inclusivity, as if that's a guaranteed certificate for good quality products. Like, there have been some media in recent history that have tried to be more inclusive, but they make the mistake of thinking just because something is inclusive, that means it's automatically going to be good. But just because a story can represent your beliefs and your culture, that doesn't automatically make it good. You know, you've got to have good writing as well. Like, there could be some people who you completely disagree with, but you cannot deny they are really talented writers. You know, you've got to. It's not just representing people. You've got to write a good story to make us care for the people you're trying to represent. So just keep that in mind. Anyway.
Through the Fellowship, like a bunch of people from different backgrounds coming together in order to face a common enemy, being Sauron.
That's true.
And just seeing the casting decisions is really, really exciting to see. It's just going to mean so much to like me personally, because it's getting that representation in Middle-earth. Young kids are going to see that on screen, and it's just going to be really nice for them to be like, oh, hey, there's someone that looks just like me, being like an...
Again, you don't have to look exactly like a certain character in order to relate to them. Okay, let me make this more blunt. I am 6'5" tall. I don't have to be a very small person in order to relate to the struggles of the hobbits. Like, the hobbits are seen as the underdogs. I can relate to, you know, them being the underdogs, even though I myself am not 3 feet tall. I can still relate to the hobbits as underdogs, and I also relate to the hobbits with their hearty appetites. I mean, to be fair, there are certain traits we'll all find relatable. Like, everyone will find these universally good traits that they can all latch onto with certain characters. But the characters themselves don't need to be exactly like other people in order to be characters that they can relate to. Let me think of another example. Aragorn. I can't really say I'm a fighter quite like Aragorn, probably. And I haven't got long, greasy, dark hair. And I don't have a background of royalty. But nevertheless, I admire Aragorn as this pinnacle of masculinity, as well as being an awesome hero. So even though I'm not exactly like Aragorn, I still admire him as a character for who he is in the story. Again, you don't have to be exactly like the character in order to relate to them. Anyway, carry on.
Elf and a dwarf, and yeah, it just fills me with a lot of hope for like the future of the Rings of Power and seeing like much more diversity being included as well.
It's going to be inspiring, right, for the next generation.
Definitely.
What about you, Shana?
In the original film series, which I absolutely adored, but there are not many women in it, and the 3 women who are in it never speak to one another and don't really...
Yes,
Hold that thought. Okay. I suppose there is some correction in that. I mean, assuming they've just watched the films, that is. In the books, there's bound to be at least one exchange from woman to woman. Although, I suppose there is that scene with Rosie Cotton and her children, including some daughters. Don't say I'm not someone who doesn't pay attention, eh? But Tolkien did care about the woman he represented. If I remember correctly, I remember hearing that Tolkien watched Macbeth, the Shakespearean play, and he felt quite disappointed with the climax, so he made his own female characters. And I've been hearing a lot of critiques on this series in regards to how they represented Galadriel and how she's completely out of character. They're confusing female empowerment with embracing the characteristics of terrible men. Right. They're, instead of representing Galadriel as this powerful, awe-inducing woman that she is, she's this she's Joan of Arc Jr. with PlayStation 3 graphic quality. And that's not who Galadriel is. They've butchered her character. She is this woman of grace and power. She is indeed one of the most powerful women in Middle Earth, but not the power that these people are thinking of. I mean, could Galadriel be clad in armor and go to battle? I mean, that's a possibility, but that's not who she was. Like, we've clearly seen in The Hobbit, she could eliminate this orc with just one squish of her hand and finger, and she managed to compel Sauron away from Dol Guldur. And she has this overwhelming power. In fact, part of her story, which might trigger some of the people following this story, is that Galadriel used to be this evil witch who manipulated people. But she then had to go through a redemption story where she had to give up that evil part of her and use what she was capable of for good. This made her test with Frodo Baggins all the more relevant, because when Frodo offers her the ring, asking her, could you get the ring to Mordor? She says, I will not deny my heart has denied this. And when she says, and in exchange for a Dark Lord, you will have a queen, she briefly reverts back to her evil witch self in her temptation. And the real fans of Lord of the Rings have estimated that if Galadriel had accepted the ring, then she would overwhelm all Middle Earth with power, because that's what the ring does. It corrupts people to release power. But Galadriel finds the strength within her to resist the ring. And she says, I've passed the test. I will diminish and go and be Lady Galadriel. And thus her arc is complete. So she is strong in the fact that she is of great virtue and that she guides our heroes. And they probably wouldn't have gotten far without her. That's the kind of strength that she has. She's one of those powerful beings in Middle-earth. In fact, I made a friend lately in Malika Writes, and she has an excellent description of Galadriel and her feminine journey. I'll let you see that later. Anyway.
So it will be so cool to be able to see more female representation, to maybe see them actually interact with one another. I'm very excited to see it.
I mean, to be fair, I suppose we do need more women in Lord of the Rings talking to each other, to be fair.
It just makes me so excited for the next generation, because, as you said, growing up, I was still excited about being an elf or a hobbit and joining in with it, even though I wasn't represented, like my disability. Or my queerness wasn't represented. It just makes me so happy. It makes my heart warm. Gonna be seeing younger people.
Literally.
The Rings of Power is the reason why the four of us are sitting here today.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it's we probably wouldn't have if the series wasn't being made.
Like you said,
You
it
know?
really is a true meaning of fellowship.
Yeah, we're fellowship.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys. So from the teaser trailer, what intrigued you the most?
rings happening or like being formed.
In the the lore, Sauron basically helps forge the rings, and so I think they start making some initial rings that don't have much power. So, but
The
yeah,
way you describe it sounds like Sauron's in a ring store. I'm like, could I try that? Could I try that one? I'm a size
One
R.
of those, one of those.
it doesn't fit. For me as well, the one thing that
The one ring that doesn't fit. Okay, I will admit that's funny. Anyway.
I spotted from the trailer was just how expansive of a look we're gonna get towards the second age.
Yeah.
It's been not previously very much touched upon.
Oh, I want to go back for a moment.
Age. Yeah. It's been not previously.
You see that beta male with the Matt Smith 70s haircut? That's meant to be Elrond. Not only have they butchered Galadriel, they've already butchered Elrond. With Galadriel, they're saying, she's young, she's fiery, she's more than a few thousand years old. And you have Elrond here. Okay, younger, granted, but elves are known for their longer hair. And look, I'm sure that hairstyle would look cool in some other character, some other franchise. That haircut does not belong to the world of Tolkien. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. Maybe this guy is doing the best he can, but that's not the right look for Elrond. His hair should be at least maybe neck length at least, because that's what real elves look like. I wonder what the real Elrond would think of this. Just getting that out there. Anyway.
Very much touched upon. And so I'm very excited to see how Prime Video takes it and just shows us this whole kind of new look at Middle-earth.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer
New look.
and trying to work out, right, where are we here? The locations and the sets, it's all very exciting. So just trying to theorise what we're going to see in the series, because there's still so much we don't know.
I also want to know why they were fighting. Who's fighting? Why are they fighting?
Literally.
Where are
And you call yourselves Superfans?
we? Who are they? What's going on?
It's not made worth without a bit of beef. All right, let's talk main characters. Give me your theories of who you might have seen in the teaser trailer.
I've seen a lot of talking about my girl Galadriel.
Yeah, I love Galadriel.
That part in the trailer when she come around waterfall with the knife and
Yes.
PlayStation 3 graphics.
I'm already obsessed. I'm already obsessed with
The way we've seen her in the movies, she's been very flowy. With her
Yeah.
serene.
That's who Galadriel really is.
She's not doing much, and this time she's full on.
Oh. 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 Did he? I sound like a freaking Karen. Oh my days. Did he just say what I thought he said? She didn't do much. She didn't. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. Oh my days.
The way we've seen her in the movies, she's been very flowy.
Flowy, yes.
Yeah.
Serene. She's not doing much, and this.
She's. Oh! Oh! Okay. That kind of makes me angry. I just described how Galadriel has a much deeper character. They're meant to be fans. They are not fans. These people, they don't understand Tolkien. They don't understand the backstory of Galadriel and her journey and how she came to accept this role she was given. She gave several gifts to the Fellowship, literally even in the Peter Jackson movie, in the extended cut. Oh my days! These people, oh my days! Did they just watch the theatrical cut of the Peter Jackson trilogy and just call it a day? Oh my day! This is okay. this is one of the reasons why I would highly endorse watching the extended cuts of the Lord of the Rings. Like, theatrical version, cool. Extended cuts, masterpieces. Basically, in the extended versions, Galadriel gives out these gifts to the heroes to help them on their quest. She gives them these cloaks, which in dire need, they can turn them invisible. They don't use them that much, except for that one occasion where Sam accidentally topples over the cliff. Frodo tries to help him, but Sam's stuck, so uses the cloak to hide themselves. It leads to a really cool practical effect with the rocks. So, like, I can even buy the idea that maybe part of the cape was, like, covered in all the rocky dust, so, as well as turning them invisible. Like, it's a really cool aesthetic. They gave Merry and Pippin these daggers of war, which they actually do use in warfare. She gives Legolas an upgraded bow. She gives Frodo the Star of Valentia, which is a light when all other lights go out, which definitely came in handy when facing up against Shelob. Look in my face again and tell me she didn't do much. Like, she literally helped Frodo up in the same Peter Jackson journey. There's also some other really sweet pieces of lore in regards to Galadriel, and the fact that Gimli didn't ask for much, except to look upon Galadriel again. But then he asks for another gift. And then Gimli confesses to Legolas that Gimli asked for a piece of Galadriel's hair, and she gave her 3, which is actually highly significant if you know anything about Galadriel's lore. This actually ties into Galadriel's lore because in the past there would have been people who would try to win Galadriel's affection, and getting a strand of Galadriel's hair, even just one, was a major sign of power. But Galadriel refused. So she did have this authority, this sort of dignity, and there was this one elf who tried to approach her, but she refused. Then Gimli comes along, a dwarf of all people, and she gives Gimli not only 1, but 3 of pieces of her hair. So again, this delves deep into Galadriel's character arc, into accepting who she is, and to there's a lot of depth that these superfans these so-called superfans don't seem to understand. They're just looking at it all in a very superficial lens. They're not looking at it through they're looking at it superficially. They're not looking at it thematically, which is quite a shame, really. A real shame. Even for all the Tolkien scholars that they've confronted. You'd think that they'd get people to talk about the deeper parts of the lore and how the thematics will be delivered to make quite a message for a current generation. But no, it's much easier to appeal to the masses, right? Anyway, carry on.
This time she's like full on.
Because we are so far in the past, and I'm so excited to just see this younger version of her. And this
kind of ironic for them to say they're so past it. They're not embracing the past.
so much.
Who knows, man? She would have gone to school. Like, Galadriel, you're in detention. No magic in the class.
I mean, I want her dagger. It
It's
looks
very cool.
stunning and beautiful, and I
I might
want
have
it.
to fight for it, man, because she looks good at that.
She would kill me. I'm definitely excited to see like this kind of younger and maybe more inexperienced Galadriel, and just
Mate, she's thousands of years old. I mean, okay, to be fair, in a sense, yeah, she is younger and in a way inexperienced. And because the older you get, the more wisdom you gain. You are right in that regard. also one of the wisest people on Middle Earth. Oh, uh, okay. Okay, 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 okay. Whew. Whew. Okay, carry on. Okay.
Just see kind of how how we see through the rings of power, like how the experiences will shape her.
I want to know whose the hand was at the end.
Yeah, that was
Hobbit.
interesting because it was a little hand. I think that was a
It's a
hobbit.
hobbit. I am all about hobbits, as you can tell. So,
Waistcoat.
I wonder any theories on who the hobbit might.
Ah, kind of makes me wish I was wearing my waistcoat here. I love waistcoats too.
Might be if it is a hobbit. Is it a young Smeagol?
Maybe like
Young Smeagol. Yeah, before he got corrupted, before the ring took him. That's a possibility. It's my birthday, and I want you to hold my hand, precious. Anyway.
like some ancestor of the Baggins or something.
Always
be.
those Bagginses getting into trouble.
They should never
Especially Sackville Bagginses.
left the Shire.
I disagree.
Never cross the line with Sackville Bagginses. Don't let them steal your spoons. Don't let them steal your spoons.
We wouldn't have a whole thing if they didn't leave.
That's
True.
true. That's very true.
I just love the fact that we're touching upon the second age of Middle-earth, because times where a lot of like the underlaying kind of plot threads of the Lord of the Rings comes into things, and so we get to see like the rings. Hopefully, we'll see the rings of power being forged.
Yes.
We get to see Sauron
That's the thing.
potentially.
'Cause in the original
Yeah, he wants to bang Sauron. Anyway.
Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, we saw Sauron battling, the armies, and Isildur cut his finger off. But that was like so brief, and you don't really get to see Sauron in his prime.
Which is what's so exciting about this.
You don't get to see Amazon in his... No, I've ruined the joke already. You don't get to see Sauron in his Amazon Prime. Ba-dum. Anyway.
Because we get to see him be very like deceitful, hopefully,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
during this era he does do a lot of like corruption and
Yep.
manipulation.
Yeah.
We love our origin story, like gatekeep, go boss.
Excites me.
I love that we're going so far back. Especially, I think there's something very cool with prequels in the way that they can make you love the things you already love even more.
That is true in both the way they're saying it and also in an ironic sense. Because, yeah, prequels do have the possibility of enhancing the quality of the stories they're based off. That's very true. On the other hand, if prequels are done poorly, they can make people appreciate the original story in a more ironic sense, saying, man, the flaws in the original story just kind of look like cherries on top. After looking at the flaws of the prequel series, I may have underestimated you.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
I'm just saying. Anyway.
So the fact that we're going to be seeing things that are potentially going to make us love the Hobbit films and the Lord of the Rings films and potentially the books as well.
Believe me, dearie, this series will make people love the Hobbit trilogy particularly even more than they did in the past. Believe me. I absolutely 100% guarantee that this series that you're making is going to make people adore the Hobbit trilogy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You have my word, my dear. You have my guaranteed word.
So last night we had our own little Middle-earth experience.
We did.
We did. Yo, how did it feel?
Yo, how'd it feel to go to New Zealand? Yup.
Like, it was such a good time, honestly, and the venue and everything, it just looked the part. It
Oh, cool. Okay.
was incredible, and I think I was so happy to get to share it with you guys, like our own little fellowship.
Ooh,
It
cool
was
sword.
amazing. Like I felt like I really got to like step into another world, and then Kelsey and I for like most of the evening were just like dancing like hobbits,
hobbits.
in like our little
Yeah,
blankets.
you
and
had
we
your
were
blankets around like Frodo and you're just like
Shame they don't really have the brooches there.
spinning around.
I can't say that the
You
moves
spin
are
me
incredible, but the
right round,
enthusiasm
baby,
is
right
certainly
round.
there.
It was very fun, and it was just nice to like get to like be with everyone, and then like all sit together and react to
I
the
think
trailer.
if Middle-earth had like a club,
No, I don't think I've got anything mean to say. That's a funny reaction.
Gather and react to
I
the
think
trailer.
That's a funny reaction. Yeah, nothing else. Just a funny reaction. That's a funny reaction. Yeah, not much to say. Let's play it one more time.
If Middle Earth had like,
Sit together and react to
I
the
think
trailer.
if Middle Earth had like,
Me and my
a club,
cousins would have a laugh from that.
that was it. That Gandalf and Saruman probably link up. And
Rap battle.
this tune is banging.
I just felt like a giant kid again.
Yeah.
Like if
Giant.
childhood me could see this moment in my life, they would be like, "Wow,
Yeah, it is
how
crazy.
you made it to Middle Earth."
And like walking through the firing, it was so cool. And the cocktails.
We
were
didn't
very
start the
nice.
While we
fire.
were waiting for
While
like the
we
trailer
drink
to
the
play,
cocktails
the
and we
music
watch
was also
the
playing. It was
series.
we were very much
Oh.
looking like New York Fashion
We were
Week.
sat in the front
Yeah.
row, and
Yeah.
the music
York
that was
faction.
playing, we were like, "Oh, we're gonna get a fashion show."
I remember putting out my phone and I was like, yeah, it's Radio Lord of the Rings. Let's go. It's about to get lit like Mordor.
Going down to Hobbiton.
We got our drugs. We got our vodka. We got our own strip club. Yeah.
I know you guys are selfie holics, right? What was the best picture you took of the night?
My favourite picture I got was actually a picture you tried to take outside the
Oh.
castle, and it
Wait,
looks,
what happened? What happened?
it looks so cursed. It looks so
Whoa.
cursed. We tried to take it with flash, and I just look like I'm haunting the castle.
Was it that bad?
And it was just so funny. I looked at the phone and I was like, oh no.
That's the vibe I want to bring to everybody.
Ghosts, yeah? Ghosts.
I know I'm a
haunted.
mystical, like, unknown creature.
Like
Yeah.
Sauron's daughter or something.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly,
Nice.
yeah.
All right. I want to hear your fan theories.
I feel like we're gonna see some early ruminations of like the rings of power being forged, because
Yeah.
during the Second Age, this is where like Sauron comes in and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna teach
He's
you
like,
some-
yo,
yo,
I'm gonna make a ring right now.
I'm gonna teach you how to make some rings."
And I quote. Then Sauron said, "Yo." Anyway.
I feel like there needs to be a reason for the rings to be made, right? So obviously with the wars happening, and then like,
What
oh,
was the reason?
with the wars happening, and then like,
What
oh,
was the reason?
Wee lass, you claim to be a super fan, right? A super fan of the Lord of the Rings, right? Even if you haven't read the books, you've seen the first Peter Jackson movie, right? In the theatrical and the extended cut, they make it quite clear that the rings were forged for all these different leaders. Seven to the dwarf lords, 3 to the elf lords, and 9 for mortal men doomed to die. Remember? They also literally mentioned in this exact conversation, if I remember correctly, that Sauron made the rings in order to slither his way to power, so that he could forge the one ring to dominate all the other rings. Are you sure you're a super fan, dearie? I don't think you are. Again, they're overlooking the thematic details here.
What was the reason?
Sauron wanted to corrupt people.
corrupt and
Yeah, this guy gets it.
control.
And plus, if we had that all like straight away, we need season 2, multiple season. You know.
I mean, I could forgive people for like, like forgetting something in the midst of a conversation. I mean, I've done that several times. But if that girl really was a super fan, I think Sauron. The reason Sauron made the rings of power, that should be just basic knowledge.
No.
Do you think we're gonna see another side of Sauron?
Yes.
Like maybe he falls in love.
I
Maybe
mean,
there's a reason. Every villain's a hero in his own
I
story,
think
right?
we're gonna find out more.
people are gonna fall in love with him and be like, I can change him.
They had better be joking. I mean, perhaps they could do a sort of Paradise Lost adaptation for Sauron, to be fair. So, I guess you could do a sort of Paradise Lost take on Sauron at best. But even then, Paradise Lost still depicted, you know, the satanic figure as the source of pure evil. How the mighty have fallen.
We all love a bad boy, don't we?
Do you have any predictions of what's going to happen in the series when September 2nd drops?
Ooh,
I just want to see Gladriel, basically the story of getting that dagger. I'm obsessed with that dagger too.
I feel like there's going to be a bit of romance. There's always romance
I think they care more about that dagger than the actual lore.
amongst the elves, and it's like, you can't be with him.
wow.
Why not? He's my ex.
Romances, always.
I saw there's like a human and an elf in like a forbidden romance kind of thing. And like during this period, like
Right?
humans and elves weren't really getting along. And so I think that's where some of the conflict might be coming
Yes,
in.
the fighting.
A
Yeah.
lot of stroking of the ears.
Fighting.
Earlobes, the elf ears. Right, I need a reason to tell everyone watching why they should watch the teaser trailer.
Galadriel, like.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers.
Oh!
If you're a lore buff like me, I think it'll be really.
Yeah, as if.
If you're a lore buff like me, I think it'll be really interesting to see this kind of expansive look at Middle Earth.
Nice. Kels?
If you just have a moment to just be a kid again and be in wonder and in awe, just take that moment. I think
There are two ways to be a kid again. One, as you said, in wonder and awe. The other, in self-centeredness and immaturity. All of us should strive to have the hearts of children, yet the minds of adults. Just a note, dearie.
I think we all need it.
You're just gonna be transported to another world, and you're just gonna forget your own for the whole.
Actually, the superficial diversity will remind us as to why so much media in the West is declining, and why so much media in the East, in Korea and Japan, are succeeding.
Whole time you're gonna watch it.
From that teaser, I have no doubt is going to be epic.
Special
I have several doubts.
thank you to my guests, the Fellowship of Influencers, Chanel, Joel,
Fellowship of
and Kelsey.
Influencers.
Thank you for joining me. Let's do this together, right? Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power drops when?
September 2nd.
Brace yourselves.
Check out the teaser trailer. The link is below. Out on Prime Video when?
September 2nd. Be there, be square.
Or circle, ring.
Yes, ring. Yeah.
Be there or be thrown into Mount Doom.
Okay, cut.
Yeah, what a way to try to get people to watch your show. You better watch this show, you'd better, or we're gonna toss you into Mount Doom. We're coming for your kids. We're coming for them if they're not gonna watch the show. We're coming for your grandma. Okay, that was interesting. Yes, very. Oh my days, I've been recording for almost an hour? Oh my days, that's a lot of commentary for just a 12-minute video!
The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost. Won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still